The First Parish Church building, with its white steeple and ornate town clock, defines the very center of Chelmsford. Visibly to everyone passing through the center of town, it anchors the town both historically and architecturally. The present building was constructed in 1842, replacing previous meeting houses on the same site that dated back to 1655. Until 1880, the building's lower level served as the town hall. The town clock and the steeple is still the property of the town. The building has been maintained with regular painting and repairs by the members of First Parish Church. However, the 150 years of New England climate has taken their toll. There is now serious rot in much of the upper woodwork, particularly in the region surrounding and supporting the town clock. The faces and antique mechanisms of the town clock are physically supported by the fabric of the First Parish bell tower. Through the CPC grant application is being made by First Parish, who will oversee the work. It is essentially a joint venture between the church, who owns the steeple and the roof, and the town, who actually owns the clock. On Wednesday, February 16, 2011, the CPC approved a grant of $185,000 for both the clock and the First Parish steeple, and the church will be responsible for an additional $45,000 to cover the steeple repairs. Therefore, the total amount of the CPC grant is $230,044. There are many facets that make up the $230,000. There's the actual work on the steeple itself and the roof, but also the scaffolding. In order to do this type of project, the EPA is going to require certain regulations to be met, and the scaffolding itself is going to be $25,000, which is going to be split between the town and First Parish Church. There's also a number of repairs that need to be done, which is scrape, prime, and paint the towers, the belfry, the lantern, and the spire. The painting of the steeple, which includes the clock, it's going to cost the town approximately $4,000 just for the molding that surrounds the clock. And there are other regions of the spire and the lanterns that First Parish will be responsible for. But as you approach the belfry, where the majority of the repairs are going to be taking place, where the parapet and the actual clock face are, that's where the cost impact is. We've estimated around $15,000 to secure the roof and the parapet, and we also, the wood molding around the clock face and the actual face itself, repairing the dials, and that will be done by manually taking them off and regilding them. Just to be clear on the cost between the town and First Parish, throughout the estimate, the town is going to be responsible for the actual maintenance of the clock mechanism itself, and I got a bid from the town manager that was in the amount of $7,500. The exterior work that needs to be done is going to be split between the town and First Parish in the following ways. The scaffolding that's necessary is going to be split half and half, so it's $12,500 each. The painting around the clock itself, all the molding, is going to be $4,000 for the town and $14,500 for First Parish. And the other split is going to be with the roof that covers the mechanism of the clock underneath, and we split that $15,000 each. The repair of the clock face, which is on all four sides of the tower, is going to be $3,000 for the town and $4,000 for First Parish. And then we have the electrical work, which is the full responsibility of the town, and there's an allowance set aside for that for $20,000. The face of the clocks on all four sides, we're going to be changed from pine to cedar for longevity, and the Historical Commission was probably going to mandate that anyways. And we put it in at $18,000, which will be full responsibility of the town since they own the clock face. If they choose to change and go back down to plywood, there'll be a deduct of $10,000 of that if they choose to. Then there are items such as general conditions that have to be on every job site. And based on the amount of money the town is going to be putting into this project, I prorated that amount, and that's $1,800 for that. There's also a contingency set aside that may or may not be used depending on what they find once they start removing the molding around the clocks and determine how much damage might be done. We're hoping that there's not excessive damage and that the contingency won't even be used. But we did set that aside in the estimate, and that contingency was split $10,000 for First Parish and $5,000 for the town. As I said, there is a $20,000 allowance, and when you get down to the end, after all the allocations of these costs, the total project for First Parish will be $133,620, and the town will be responsible for $96,424. And First Parish will be pledging $45,000 towards this project. So the amount of money that we are asking from the town for the CPC for First Parish is going to end up being $88,000. By providing CPC funding, Chelmsford will ensure the continued existence of a central feature of the town. The steeple is visible from virtually every road into town. It serves as an iconic navigation mark for newcomers and a compelling reminder that Chelmsford, a modern American town, is rooted in a unique and rich colonial heritage. The clock and the steeple define us to visitors as the classic New England town that we are. It is hard to imagine driving into Chelmsford Center, from which this long-standing steeple is not visible, but that it is the alternative if restoration is not undertaken soon. The deterioration is not yet easily apparent as we drive past on Littleton or North Road. Superficially, it just looks as though a coat of paint is needed. To the many more leisurely passersby who ride or walk past on the Bruce Freedom Trail, the damage is more apparent. They can look up to see timbers beginning to crumble and the parapet is rotten. The damage has been detected at a reasonable early stage, and the sums involved for repair are within the resources available for the CPC funding. The members of First Parish Church have been careful custodians of the church and its grounds on behalf of our greater Chelmsford community. The love and care taken of the lawn, shrubs, trees, flower beds, and the building itself that surround the church are a testament to their dedication to a property that serves the entire community. First Parish will continue to maintain the structure from their own resources, but the major and critical task of refurbishing the steeple will not be possible without the assistance of CPC. In closing, the church is an icon located in the center of town and holds a piece of history dating back centuries. The clock and the steeple define us to visitors as the classic New England town, and the deterioration of the steeple and the clock need to be addressed sooner rather than later. The congregation respectfully asks for your approval of these funds and look forward to a successful project.